Welcome to episode 9 of Shapiro's Rooted in American Craft. I am Matt alongside with my sister Alena. Hope everyone's having an awesome week so far. How's your week going, Alena?
It has been a long week. I am not going to lie. Our parents are fortunate and they are off on vacation in Alaska. So Matt and I have been basically working nonstop since they left, which we're very excited that they got to go, but I am very much looking forward to a vacation sometime in the near future. How about you?
Yeah, they gave their 2 podcast episodes and away they went and
Yep.
have left us to work almost 2 weeks in a row. So for those that want to get into small business, I highly encourage you, but just know there's going to be months and weeks and days where it's exhausting. But it's been fun. I think we've been really able to make the gallery the way we want it to be and without the stress of them nagging us.
True.
So it's been this is what it's like once they fully retire, if that ever truly does happen. But yeah, it's good. You know, I was joking with Dad. I talked to him yesterday, and this is the first time I've really truly ever missed him. Genuinely missed him when he went away, because during the summer months, there's times where you just need someone to vent to who understands what you've gone through. And fortunately, the mom and dad are still around and are kind of good mentors to us, so we're able to vent to them, and they keep us sane and keep us calm. So as much as I'm glad for them to be away, it's also I'll be happy once they get back and take a little stress off both of our shoulders. But
Definitely.
overall, it's good.
Yeah. We had a lot of new work come in this week too, so it's kind of been fun to the gallery's starting to fill back up again and gearing up for the holidays. I know a lot of people have been asking about the they call them the Dr. Seuss vases, but the vases that metal, they look flat, or they look three-dimensional, but they're actually flat. So those are back in stock. So for those of you that have been waiting, come on by. We just opened that box up today. And we have a lot of new exciting stuff still coming in, starting now through the holidays. So every day is something new.
Yeah, and the copper wall pieces just came in. I got to
Yep.
hang those last night, so it was had to contort myself to hang them in certain places in the gallery, but we got them up, so that's always good. But yeah, it's definitely the gallery's starting to look good, and it's been fun rearranging it every few days to get it back to just looking tight and kind of where we want it to be as the holidays gear up. And it's September 12th, and I don't know, in 3 months. It's the holidays are going to
Yep.
be here before people know it. So I'm looking forward to that and the cooler weather. So hopefully that continues. And as we grow the gallery and evolve the gallery, we're constantly bringing in new and different pieces. So for those that come in often, we've really made a conscious effort to really keep the gallery fresh for you. But in addition to bringing in new and different, we are true to who we are, and we have our core artists that we love to carry. And fortunately, over the years, we've stuck with them, and they've stuck with us. And as they continue to grow and evolve, so do we. And this week, we've one of our very first artists, and I met her at my first show when I was 15 or 16, and with Leonie. So do you have any memories of first meeting Leonie?
Uh, I just remember that when I would go to shows with mom and dad in high school, Leonie would always have snacks and treats for me. So when I would have a long day at a show and I was burnt out and, just wanted to leave, she would always make sure I was nicely refueled. And, we've been carrying her work, I think, since Central days, I believe at least that long. And I'm just excited to have her on the podcast. She's kind of like, family member to us.
Absolutely, and we want to thank everyone as well for tuning in again this week to Shapiro's Rooted in American Crafts. And whether you're watching us on YouTube or on Spotify, on Apple Podcasts, thank you again for tuning in. Make sure you leave some comments. Make sure you share it and subscribe and like it. It's nice to see that the viewer count is going up. It's been nice to see that the subscriber rate is going up. So please continue to do that, and make sure you share it. We've been posting a lot on our social media, Shapiro's Gallery on Instagram and on Facebook. Pretty soon we might be starting a TikTok. So for those that use TikTok, definitely make sure you find us there. But you can find the Shapiro's Gallery on all the different social media. Shapiro's Rooted in American Craft on the various podcasts. And last but not least, Shapiro's Gallery, ShapiroGallery.com. S or no S gets you to us. So make sure you get to the website, check it out. As the new work shows up, we're getting pictures taken and getting the items posted online. So if you can't make it to the gallery downtown and you want to shop online, that's an option too, and we can ship it directly to you. And also with the holidays coming, we can gift wrap it as well. So I've seen some of the new Christmas wraps coming in, so we are geared up and stocked up and ready for the holidays to begin.
Yeah, the burr months are here.
Yeah, get those winter jackets out. So last week we interviewed jeweler Megan Patrice Riley, and she's kind of in the beginning to middle of her career. This week, Leonie Lacouette is one of our clockmakers, and she's been with us for many years, and she's coming towards the closer to retirement than the start of her career. So she shares some interesting information with us, and some she's a great mentor, and she's very knowledgeable on her field, and also the history and understanding of American craft. So I think we should bring her on, and let's see what information she can share with us. So Leonie, welcome. How are you?
It's my pleasure. I'm very excited to be here. It's really it's great. First of all, I haven't seen you in person for way too long.
I know.
And yet it feels like yesterday because you guys look the same. I do not look the same.
And I think the fun part of the relationship that Alena and I have with you is that you've seen us grow up from the very beginning kind of the gallery, and kind of evolve from the kids that would go to the show to now where it's Mike and Sue, mom and dad, are now just kind of, they're off on an Alaskan cruise right now and we're running it.
Jealous. Hello.
Me too.
Yeah, no doubt. Like that. It's a beautiful thing what you guys have going on there, and it really is the whole idea that you guys fell into the business. You weren't trained to be there, though by default you were probably working summers or just being at the store. No, it's great, and I don't have that. Even though when I was first making my art in my parents' 300-year-old basement was my first studio, because hello, free rent, right? And it was an ancient house. And my kids, my stepchildren, who I've raised for 50 years, said, "Can we play with clay? Can we play with clay?" So they had their hands in it right from the beginning too. But I'm not playing with clay anymore.
So what are you playing with? For those that don't know who you are, who are you and what do you play with?
So there's some good examples behind me of copper and wood and all kinds of goodies. But now I'm working with copper, wood, stainless steel, and that's kind of the mix of it for the most part.
Now, how did you get into clockmaking?
It's kind of ridiculous. I have a degree in ceramics, but I had that kind of by default. So I'll go way back from the very beginning. First of all, my dad was trained as an artist. So of course, having that in my life from the very beginning, it was like he'd be watercolor painting and I'd be watercolor painting, and we would do art together. And my parents were both really into the arts, period. And I grew up Midtown Manhattan. So, you are entrenched in the possibility of exposure to all kinds of amazing things. But then I decided to go to arts, the High School of Art and Design, and that was really a great experience. And I'm going to tell you a silly story. It's clean, but kind of. In order to get into these specialized high schools, which New York City offers, you have to have, you apply. And my father, being a professional, thought, okay, you're going to need a portfolio. So you're going to need to do a lot more drawing. And you know what? Why don't we send you to the Art Student League? in New York City, and you can do some drawing there. So I get there, and of course there's a person who's going to be a model walking around the room in a heavy robe, and I've got my pad, and I think I'm all of like 15, 16 years old, and then suddenly I'm talking to someone, and I look over, and that person is naked, and it was like, oh, okay, well, we're going to start drawing. And and that was the beginning of it. And honestly, obviously, as an art student, you learn that there are going to be naked people in front of you, and you learn how to draw them. And I did pretty well. And I got into the High School of Art and Design, which I think is an amazing, amazing education. I mean, I really felt like I was given such an edge of training to be able to go there. I mean, I thought it was an amazing school. And then I ended up, realizing we don't have a lot of money, and we have a house in upstate New York, right near a really decent upstate college. So I went to SUNY New Paltz, and I was there. I didn't really know what I wanted to do. I mean, I was an illustration major in art and design, but all that time, since I was like knee high, I'd been taking ceramic classes down in the Village in New York City since forever, to the point where I was assisting teaching and then teaching a little bit. And so clay was in my life pretty heavily. So when it came time to decide, like, what am I going to do? I ultimately decided in clay. And it was hard. It was really hard. I mean, I like metalsmithing. I mean, I did it all. I graduated with a lot of credits, a lot of art credits, which is wonderful to be able to do that. Yeah, it took me more than 4 years. True confessions, but it was a good ride. And but ultimately, when I left with my ceramic degree, my professor, the head of the department, said, we're going to come in your space and we're going to clean it out with a magnet. So obviously I was always going towards that mixed media realm, because again, I was not so focused. And I have to put an aside here right now. I met your parents doing a show with them down in Florida. And it was great. I mean, I love your mom's work. I think she's great. I mean, I really like her style, her abilities, and I'm so excited for her that she's getting to do that now and be in Alaska. Hello.
So were you doing clay at the time when you met our parents?
I actually was not, but no, I don't think I was doing any clay when I met your parents. And I wish I could remember. I was thinking about this, what year that was, and I'm pretty sure it was in Sarasota, because I think that's the only area I used to go to when I did,
Yeah, it had to have been late 80s, early 90s, I'm assuming.
Mm-hmm.
If not a little bit earlier, but
Yeah. No,
interesting. So how do you think that working with clay kind of set you up for working with the wood and the metal and creating the designs that you have now? Is there any connection?
it's interesting. I don't know. I mean, there were always transitions, and I think ideas about design informed the material sometimes more than the material itself. Like the idea of like, oh, I want to do this, and oh, I can do that in steel, or I want to do that, and oh, that would work in wood, or just playing with materials. Again, I'm really not that dedicated to any one thing. I'm pretty, right now making a living, I'm pretty dedicated to the copper, just because it's just so rich and beautiful, and it really, I'm not doing 1,000 different types of things, but I can put that copper on 1,000 different types of things.
But I find it interesting. We've had jeweler Megan Patrice Riley on last week, and then our mom was on a couple weeks ago, and both of them were saying that they get a lot of their inspirations from not looking at stuff or artwork in their medium, and they try to get inspiration from other aspects of, for the clay artist, she'll look at metal, and then Megan was saying that she'll look at a lot of architectural designs in the fashion world. And it's interesting how, your designs, seems like you pulled from a realm of different backgrounds and mediums to get inspired to create, what you create now.
I do, and it's funny because one of the last designs that I really liked actually came from a fabric pattern. And it was really like, I was just loving this pattern, and I thought I want to put this pattern somewhere. But it's true. It actually lamps, pillows, like crazy things that have nothing to do with clocks. But it was probably like Elle Decor magazine that informed a lot of what I do. Not quite, but you know what I mean. But it's interesting. And then other artists, because I have, well, it's not, I don't think we can see it. I did a series of pieces that I kind of named after other artists because they were reflective of certain pieces, all modern, nothing like really old. But I named a piece after Roy Lichtenstein. I named a piece after Jasper Johns. I haven't done a Rothko, and that's like my husband's favorite painter. And I just, I'm sure I could somewhere along the line. I don't know. And it's like an interpretation, of course. It doesn't come close to what they achieve. I don't want to put myself anywhere near them. But I, again, you have inspirations. And one of my favorite things to do, and again, I feel so lucky to have this ability, is to go to New York City and not just go to museums, but they have the whole Chelsea gallery area where everything is free, and it really like runs the gamut from all kinds of stuff, whether it's clay to sculpture, painting, not really any jewelry, nothing home goods wise, but it's really like just mind blowing to see what people do. And that's always a fun thing.
So as someone who's been in the industry for 40 years or over 40 years, how have you seen it change, and what, for those that are just starting in it, what would you suggest and recommend to them?
It's a tough one. First of all, I loved something that I think the ACC was doing, and that was a mentoring program. And I think the best way to learn something is from other people who are doing it. And if you have that opportunity, be able to, in fact, talk to other artists at length about the realities. I went to school, and the school I went to was SUNY New Paltz, where ACC kind of started. It was brainstormed by my professor's wife, Carol Sedestrom, and then it went from there, and here we are at, I don't know, year 50 or something, maybe more. And we were taught in school this whole ideal of, okay, a gallery is going to want to place an order. You're going to want to deposit. Talk to me about the deposits you guys give. Gives you a deposit? Like that was right out of some ancient textbook from, painters or something. It was just so crazy. So it was like the stuff that I learned in school really didn't have anything to do with the reality that I learned at a show. Something that I learned at a show that was very, very important to me. You have relationships. You can see we have a relationship that I'm really that I love. And it's important to have these relationships. You guys represent me on the ground, and I provide you with something, that I'm counting on you to take good care of and move out to the next owner, right? Or the homes that I want them to be in.
Yeah, and I think what a consistent theme that we've had through this is, I think, our 9th episode, is everything keeps going back to relationships. And I think we all knew it, or Alena and I knew it, but I think it's been interesting that every guest we've had on has talked about the relationships that artists and galleries have, and galleries and customers have, and artists and customers have. So I think it's something that's just been reinforced every episode, is how important and how cool and connected the art industry is, where it's all about relationships and we truly all get to know each other.
Yeah.
It is. It is. I mean, we are so very lucky in that. We really are. I mean, it's rare that somebody at either end, I'm hoping, I haven't dealt with a bunch of artists other than friends, you know what I mean? But it's rare that I have a gallery where something bad happens, and I'm sure it's rare that you have an artist where something bad happens. It's mostly really, really great connections and really wonderful people that, again, you have this shared love of creativity and a love of art, really, and that's a great thing. I mean, we're lucky. We're lucky.
And I think with your artwork, it's interesting because you're one of the few artists that we have that your art has to have function to it as well. Most of our artists, they make what's pretty and can decorate and add into the room or to the house. How do you go into designing function plus art?
Oh God, it's the bane of my existence. And you guys know it, and I can't tell you how much I appreciate people who have a problem with something and then say to me, "Yeah, this is not working. Can we get it fixed?" Yeah, and we want to buy another one. Like, that's how much faith they have in me and my abilities, and I think they're crazy, and I love it, and I'm here. I mean, one of the things we pride ourselves in, whether it's dealing with you or somebody else locally, is customer service, and the idea that clocks are machines. They're little mechanical things. They're like a car. It's like, oh, everything is good until it isn't. And there's a lot of stuff that you learn about the length of a pendulum and the weight of that pendulum and how do you control it? What's the maximum you can get from it? And that was just like, wait, suddenly all the clocks we designed weren't working. And so we had to rethink the whole process. Okay, we're going to do the pendulums in the next gauge metal down and try to, harden it in a different way so that they're not flimsy. And, it's like we have had our fair share of technical insanity, if I'm allowed to say so. And there were certain years where Leslie and I, my assistant Leslie, who's like my right arm, were banging our heads against the wall, really, what else is going to happen?
So one of the biggest design things I think when it comes to a clock is, how do you decide which ones you're going to put numbers on and not put numbers on? I'm team no numbers. I personally love the kind of sleek looking design, but I think that's probably the number one question we get from people when we sell your work is how, why not more numbers? Is there a reason for?
So, in my opinion, and it's come down to one simple statement: more numbers, more clockish; less numbers, more artish. And so, to try to keep it in the very arty realm, no numbers. To really get back to the clock realm, I mean, I was teasing a friend of mine when they said, we're going to get one of your clocks. We don't have a clock in our house, and we want a clock. And I was like, you're going to get that clock? It's like, that's the only, and this was pre-cell phone. I'm like, really? That's going to be the only clock in your house? Do you want some numbers on that? Meanwhile, I'm obviously not the number person, but yeah, it's really, we've had a couple of things happen where somebody has requested numbers on something and we've gone, yeah, it looks pretty good. One of my favorite pieces, and I think you've carried this, but maybe not, I had this, it's a big stainless steel oval with a big copper oval on top of it. And I mean, it's 24 inches wide and a large pendulum below that, round circle pendulum below that. And the person called me up from Georgia. I don't know if they saw my work at ACC or what. And she said, we're finally done renovating and we want this clock, but my husband says he can't not have some kind of mark, something. And she goes, I'm thinking, how about some little points? And I said, and it was like, you talk about crazy kismet. As she's talking to me, and I'm on the portable phone, and I'm standing by the paper cutter, and we had just cut something, and we had these tiny triangles. And she said, I'm thinking points. And I went, I think we could do that. and since that clock, they've all got it. I mean, it was like, that is a much better, it's a nicer design. I kind of like, I prefer an idea of something at least giving you the 12, 3, 6, 9, idea of those quadrants, just some hint. And if it's not numbers, lines or whatever, but those are, that's where I roll. Other than a clock dial, the only numbers I ever put on are the 12, 3, 6, 9. It's just how it goes.
I love that idea that it makes it more art, though, without the numbers. I never really thought of it that way, that it really is. It's more of a wall piece that has some function to it as opposed to just being a clock. So that's a good way to think about it.
Yeah.
Like that.
I have a gentleman who bought several clocks from me, and he doesn't even have batteries in them.
One thing that we've asked everybody so far is, where do you see the future of the American craft movement going?
Yeah, I heard you ask that, and it's really a challenging question. It really is a challenging question, because the world is changing so much, and sometimes not in better ways. And again, we're talking about the financial situation of how much more difficult it seems for anybody, a new homeowner, a young business owner, to be able to make this happen. Again, my suggestion is always, for us as artists, to encourage whoever, whether it's going to be a 50-year-old person starting a ceramic business or somebody in college that's thinking about it, and try to give them as much information as you can, and just a helping hand in some way, but as far as like where it's going to go, like I said, it's hard, for me personally. I'm in a whole different place now. I'm in the the years where it's like, I'm ready to take the Alaskan cruise, like mom and dad. I need to. So I'll say my grandson is first year attending SUNY, my alma mater, SUNY New Paltz, and I have no idea, where he's going to go with this. But it was adorable. He walked in here and he said, "Yeah," like he saw my studio in a completely different way now that he was heading into art school. And so, hopefully people being exposed to situations like this will encourage them to move into this direction. I don't really know what else, I mean, how else it'll happen. It's going to take a lot of work. Do you guys, I want to know your opinions. Am I allowed? What do you think?
Definitely.
You're at that end. Tell me what your end is saying.
Matt, you want to go, or you want me to go? What do you?
Go for it.
So I really don't know where the future of, our industry is going. I'm encouraged by the fact that there is a new show coming out, because I think that's important.
Right.
I wish that there were more younger gallery owners like, Matt and I. We're fortunate where one thing that you talked about was you think it's important for artists to have mentorships with other artists. And Matt and I were fortunate enough that our parents have kind of been our mentors in this. So, questions that we have, we were able to, bounce ideas off of them. And growing up in it, we really understand the industry. And I think that's invaluable to us. And I wish that there was more of us out there in other places, because I think it's important. You need new galleries to keep opening in order to encourage more artists to get into wholesale. One thing that when we talked with Megan last week, she was saying that so many newer artists, she said when they hear the word wholesale, they panic, like they don't want to do it because they think they're giving up so much money. And it's just, I think, breaking that stigma and them realizing that you can do both, and you can have that great relationship with your stores, which will ultimately lead to more money for everybody. So it's almost like you need more people to talk about it, and to educate buyers and artists about the importance of it. And so
Yeah.
I'm kind of with you where I don't really know where it's headed. I think we'll see. I think the next, 5 to 10 years are going to be huge to kind of see what happens. And
Yeah.
so,
You guys, this has been a lot of fun. It's been fun just hanging out with you.
well, thank you so much, Leonie. I found it really interesting that, again, another theme that we keep circling back to are relationships. And I think that's such an important part of our industry and our business. And one thing that reminded me of is when I was pregnant with my first daughter, Avery. Leonie actually had sent me a baby gift for Avery. She sent me one of her clocks that now hangs in Avery's room. And even on the back of it, she changed the name of it from, I think it was a crescent moon to Avery over St. Pete or something like that. And it's just something special that's just another relationship. And it's a story about Leonie that I always have. And it makes me love selling her work because I have that special bond with her, just little things like that she always does. And I just think that's just such an important part of our industry is really that personal touch and getting to know our artists. So.
Absolutely. And relationships are key. And we're able to share our relationship with her, with our customers, and she's able to share her relationship with us to other artists as well. So it's constantly back and forth, and it's that's what makes this industry really special and really unique is how you grow your relationships, build your relationships, and how we become partners in, whether it's wholesale, retail, or some combination of both. We're all in this crazy world together, so let's make the most of it. Which kind of leads us into our guest for next week, John Collins. For those local to St. Pete, John was very influential in the arts community for close to 2 decades, if not longer. He used to be the executive director of it's been a couple different names, but it's now currently called the Arts Alliance of St. Pete. And they're really big on helping artistic nonprofit groups get grant money. They're big in the Shine mural, anything to do with art, whether it's music, actual mediums of art, the jazz musicians, literature, anything involving any type of art. The Arts Alliance has their hand involved in it. And John was one of the first people I met when I first moved back in 2011. I went to one of these meetings where it's a bunch of different artists and gallery owners all in one room, and everyone's arguing back and forth over what to do and what not to do. And it was during one of the art walks, and they were talking about shuttles and buses. And John, who is always dressed, in very business professional and a button-down shirt and dress pants, and definitely not your typical artist, stood up and said, "Guys, this is what we're going to do, and this is how it's going to be done." And within 2 weeks, he made it happen. So he's a guy that I've always kind of looked up to and respected, and have picked his brain and has helped mentor me, in every element outside of the gallery. So I'm excited to bring him on. And I'm excited to hear kind of how he's evolved and how he has seen downtown evolve. And we keep asking all of our guests, what do they see the future of craft and American made? He's able to see art in an entirely different way. And I'm really curious to see where he sees the future of performing arts, created arts, and any type of art you can think of. I'm really curious to see where that leads. So that's next week. So definitely tune in. I'm looking forward to that interview. So you're going to definitely want to subscribe and like the SHAPIRO'S Rooted in American Craft on all the various podcasts, and make sure you follow the various social media so you can see some clips we tease of the upcoming show for that'll be episode 10. Look at us.
Wow.
Yeah, we're what is that? 10 weeks into this, almost 10.5 months. Look at us. We started not knowing what we were doing, and here we are.
Now we both have microphones,
Yeah, I know. Look at us. Next thing you know, we're gonna have the boom thing, and then have it coming down, and we'll have a room, and we can just become official podcasters. Who knows? Again, if anyone listening wants to get involved in the podcast, if you have anyone you suggest for us to bring on, whether they're local to St. Pete or somehow involved in the craft community, we are definitely open to it. You can go to the website, and we have a link to the show page. You can also email us, info@shapirogallery.com. Please, any suggestions you have, please send them to us. If you want to hear something, if you're curious about something, if you know somebody, or whatever the case may be, send them our way, and we'd be happy to bring them on and continue sharing different personalities and kind of different people who are influential in the arts community. Anything else you can think of before we send this thing off?
No, I think that I'm good.
Well, thank you again, everyone, for listening to the past 9 episodes at this point. Like, subscribe, share Shapiro's Gallery on Facebook, Instagram, Shapiro's Rooted in American Craft on all the various podcast sites. So until next week, we will see you then. And thank you again for tuning in and for all your support. You guys have an awesome week.
Bye.